Salute y'all. You already know it's Mr. Hood Love Mikey B. Today I'll be reacting to the governor of New York, signs an executive order banning striking corrections officers from ever getting state jobs again. 22 days in. The ban is finally over, 22 days in. But Kathy Hochul, man, she's standing on her stuff. I think they fired like 2,000 officers. Yo, City Bama, G-Dub Quinn, salute. Salute, you already pulling up. Slim Slammer, what up? So they fired them officers that the ones that didn't come in on Friday. They fired a whole lot of officers, man. They fired them officers, man. And having a state job, knowing your responsibilities, knowing the lives that are in your hands if you do not come to work and what that can mean to people's lives and people actually died, I think them officers getting fired was the right thing to do. They knew when they took that job that they could not illegally strike. They signed that. They understood and knew, what they had to do with that job. You can't, with certain state jobs, you can't just go out and strike like that. You know what I'm saying? Salute, D-Tom. Abdul, what up? So, now they can go find them another job somewhere else, you heard? And let me tell you something. A lot of them officers that were striking, they were striking because of what happened to them officers, that unalived R.I.P. Robert Brooks. They wasn't doing that for no other reason than that. Officers ain't dying at the hands of inmates like that. The inmates are dying. Them officers, most of the stuff, I'm not saying that things don't happen, but most of the stuff that them officers get into is what they create in them facilities. They create the climates. They create the climates for them prisons to be that violent like that. Them COs create that climate, bro. They do that on purpose. They rile people up. Like now, they lock people in. They strike. They do a bunch of illegal stuff, and they always get away with it. They do a bunch of illegal stuff to make the whole prison population mad. Make guys get violent against each other. And, now they just getting they just due, you heard? They getting they just due. They getting they just due. Let me read this article to y'all real quick. Let me give y'all, I got an article for y'all so y'all can know exactly, what happens. I bring some articles to y'all. There it goes. New York Governor Kathy Hochul signs executive order banning striking corrections officers from state jobs. Let me see. Hold on. Let me see what this is.
What are the top 3 foods that can help alleviate arthritis?
We don't need that. Skip this ad. Let's get to it.
A month have come to an end, according to New York State officials.
Thousands of COs statewide who did not return to work yesterday have now lost their jobs. The Corrections Department tells NBC5 News they have issued more than 2,000 termination notices, and today Governor Kathy Hochul signed an executive order banning those former workers who were on strike from being hired for any state job. In a statement, the governor said, in part, this work stoppage is finally over and now we can move forward, making our prisons safer for all and recruiting the correction officers of the future.
The governor also commenting that the officers who went on strike be removed from the state's police registry, barring them from working in local police departments as well.
NBC5's Benny Nazai has been closely following these strikes over the past month and joins us now live from our studio in Plattsburgh. Benny, what else are you learning about today's developments?
Well, Jack and Lauren, what we are now learning is that many former corrections officers across New York State will have to start looking for those new jobs. It comes, as you guys mentioned, the state terminated over 2,000 striking COs that did not return to their jobs by yesterday morning. And there were also many officers that resigned during the strike. Today, there was still crowds of now former corrections officers outside the 3 prisons in Malone. One ex-CO who lost his job at Upstate Correctional says in light of the governor's executive order, he's he's ready to look in a new direction.
As for future employment, I'll find something. I have 10 years experience as citizens advocate and ARC, so maybe going back to something like that. But I'll find a way to provide for my family, and it's not going to be at the expense of the state.
Local leaders are reacting to the executive order, with NBC5 receiving a statement from Northern New York Assemblyman Billy Jones saying in part that he strongly opposes the governor not allowing terminated corrections officers from future employment at other state, county, or local government agencies. He goes on to say that this is an absolute ridiculous usurpation of local control and an overreach of executive power, and is calling on the order to be reversed immediately. Doc says there will be an aggressive recruiting effort to strengthen the department following the strike, and the department currently has a recruitment center located at the Champlain Center Mall in Plattsburgh. For now, we're live in the Plattsburgh studio. Benny Nazai, NBC5 News.
Yo, listen, there's some CO jobs, man. Y'all want to get some CO jobs, man? It's about 2,000 spots open right now, you heard? Hope y'all ain't got no felonies, man. Get up in there, man. We need some black and brown faces up in there, man. We need the peoples up in there. Get up in there. You ain't got no... Yo, D-Time, you got felonies, D-Time? Come over here to New York and get one of these CO jobs, man. Somebody got to be the COs. Somebody got to be the COs, man. They looking for new jobs. It's over, you heard? Yo, look. New York Governor Kathy Hochul responds to the end of the Wildcat Corrections Officer strike by banning protests from being hired for state positions. Hochul signed an executive order Monday that bars the hiring of individuals who continue to participate in strikes actions from being hired for state jobs. She says she will also recommend that those striking officers be removed from the Central Registry of Police and Peace Officers, which would prevent them from being hired as police or peace officers in state and local jurisdictions. These are consequences when people break the law, and that means you're not working in our state workforce ever, Holcomb told reporters Tuesday. There was no immediate comment from the union. The strike roiled the state prison system that advocates said was already beset by problems, including overworked staff and the failure to consistently provide incarcerated people with services and medical care. Jennifer Scaffey, executive director of the Corrections Association of New York, an independent monitoring group, said she believed the system was teetering on the edge even before the strike. I think that many of the pre-existing concerns are still there, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done to address those, she said. Danielle Marcello III, a commissioner of the New York Department of Corrections and Community Services, announced that the strike was officially over Monday, despite DOCCS's not meeting the threshold of 85% of striking workers returning to the job by that morning. He also announced that more than 2,000 striking workers were terminated that morning after they failed to adhere to the return of work deadline. The unsanctioned strike came to an end after 22 days and 4 negotiations aimed at getting striking and protesting corrections officers statewide to return to their posts within the state's corrections facilities. There have been 7 deaths of incarcerated people during the strike. Wow, 7 deaths. You hear that? That includes the death. That includes the death of Messiah Natwe at Midstate Correction Facility in Marcy on March 1st, which is being investigated by a special prosecutor. A court filing by the Attorney General's office said there is probable cause to believe that as many as 9 corrections officers either caused or could be implicated in his death. 6 guards were charged with murder last month in the December death of Robert Brooks, who was incarcerated at Marcy Correction Facility across the state from Midstate Prison. The strike came as Holcomb seeks authority in up-and-coming state budget to close up to 5 prisons to make the system more cost-effective and efficient. Yo, listen. They didn't want the prisons to get shut down Before this strike happened, it says the governor was trying to close down 5 more prisons. They were striking against these prisons being shut down. And I don't understand. They think like, and it's like, they're doing anything they can to stop the facilities from getting shut down. But what we seeing right now is a new world order. Right now, America is breaking down mass incarceration as we know it, and they doing it over. They redoing mass incarceration. They taking it away from the state, and as y'all can see right now, they sending almost everybody to the federal pen. So they're about to break down these state penitentiaries, put everybody in the federal pen that's doing whatever. All right, you want to do this? All right, go to the feds. You know, you heard what Trump said. Trump said he's sending you to another country. So now we sending you to a third world country. And let me tell you something. You might be a New York State prisoner, but once you get into prisons in these foreign lands, I don't think the same constitutional rules apply. I'm just being honest. If they send you to some of these countries, these third world countries, don't believe that you'll be getting your regular things that you see in state prison in America if they send you abroad. If they start sending, they're talking about sending people to correctional facilities in other countries. They already got prisons already. All Trump got to say is give them the word. All Trump got to do is give them the word. I'm going to give you X amount of dollars for you to house our prisoners. They're going to say, when do you want to start, Mr. Trump? I got X amount of billions, millions for you to house these prisoners from America. They're going to say, when do you want us to start, Mr. Trump? We got jails all over our country for these inmates. We know how to deal with them. Let me tell you something. If they really implement that and start doing that, that is going to be nasty. Already in federal prison, you could go to any state. Yo, Buck, salute. They can send you to any state. They can send you to Alaska. They can send you anywhere they want. You know what I'm saying? Where they got federal prisons at. You can go anywhere. Be in Hawaii. You could be anywhere. They can send you wherever they want you to go. Now, with Trump saying they're going to send you to other countries, that thing could get nasty. Especially if he messing with his man Putin and he send everybody and he starts sending dudes to cold ass Russia to break rocks. Yo, it's gonna be nasty, you heard? It's gonna be nasty, man. Dudes better think about their criminal lifestyles, you heard? Now you better start thinking about your criminal lifestyle, you heard? That's right, Slim Slammer, you heard? I'm telling you, just like, Shaheem, that's the facts. Just like when you go from state to state, you under that state's rules, you go to that other country, you under that country's rules. You might steal something in one of them countries in jail and think you're going to go to court. They might cut your hands off, you know what I'm saying? You might come back with a nub. You might come back to America with a nub. You know these dudes be sneak thieves, be stealing everything. You might come back nubby. They might be calling you lefty when you get back. Yo, lefty. Yo, what happened to your right hand, lefty? You know what happened to my hand, man. You know what happened to my hand, man. Yo, nubby. Like chop that thing off in the wrong country, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, this is going to be nasty, man. But these COs, 2,000 terminations. They thought, yo, listen, they thought the state was going to buckle to them. These COs are so stupid. It's dumb. They thought the state of New York, they thought they had the state of New York by the balls, you heard? They thought they had the state of New York. Them COs thought they had the state of New York by the balls. Listen, they were so delusional from running prisoners and running a jail like it was a city. You got to remember, a prison is like a small city. It's like a city. A prison is like a city. Some of these prison populations rival the town populations that they held in. The jail might have more people than the town. More people live in the prison than live in a city that some of these people come from, bro. I'm being honest, sure. I'm telling you, G-Dub Quinn, you heard? But yo, they thought they were smart. Yo, look, they thought they had the state. Look, this is their mind. This is when you have authority. When you have authority and it gets to your head, you got that power, and that power goes to your head. They let that power go to their head that they had over prisoners and over our families for so many years. They thought they could just shut it down and nothing was going to happen. They was going to get their jobs back. They was going to get all their demands and everything was going to be everything. They so dumb, you heard? That was dumb. That was dumb, you heard? 2,000 jobs? You know how much money that is they just lost? And guess what? All these so-called gangster COs, the gangs, I know all those gang dudes, they all got caught up in that sweep. Now, the jails probably be a lot better now because a lot of these officers that just got fired is the ones that's probably the piece of shits. I'm telling you. 2,000 officers, you know how much money that is a year? What they make, 50,000? CO make 50,000? What's 50,000 times 2,000? That's a big number. What's that, 10 million? 50,000 times 2,000. All right. 50,000 times 100 is $1 million. So 50,000 times 1,000 is 10 million. 20, they messed up at least 20 million right now. Dummies. They messed up. Wait a minute. 10 times 50 is 500,000. So 100 is 5 million. 1,000 is 50 million. I'm bugging. They messed up 100 million? I know they ain't messed up $100 million. Hold on, let me make sure am I right? Is that 100 million or am I tripping? To do 2,000 COs, if they make 50,000 a year, is that 100 million? Am I bugging? I know I ain't bugging. Because 10 times 50 is 500,000. Oh, that means 100 times 50,000 is 5 million. 1,000 is 50 million. 2,000 is 100 million. These dummies messed up $100 million. Yo, them COs messed up 100 milli, and that's before overtime. That's not even including overtime, yo. This is regular hours. This is regular hours, bro. They messed up 100 million? Dummies, you heard? Dummies. The Dream. They think I'm Jeezy. They don't usually call me The Dream. They be calling me Jeezy. Yo, you look like Jeezy. Yo, Trini, what up? Yo, these COs just messed up 100 million, bro. They fired 2,000, more than 2,000 COs, bro. That's right, G-Dub Quinn. Let them know. I got way more hits than a Dream. Low Light Manny, what up? I see you working out here, yo. Hey, yo, listen. I like the video you did. I don't know, it was the 10 Crack Commandments. You remixed the 10 Crack Commandments. You should have remixed it something more about your new life, bro. Yo, D-Tom, appreciate you, you heard? Setting up the super chat. But he said, D-Tom said they rolled back a lot of laws after George Floyd for nonviolence offenses, and the city's responded with heavy gun violence and crazy, petty, but dangerous theft. Read what you sow. You right about that, bro. 100 million, right? Yeah, I'm 100 million. I knew I was right, Bucks. Yeah, appreciate you. Yo, yeah, man, me and we was looking at it. Yo, we was looking at, Manny, we was looking at that video. You should have made it something positive, bro. You gotta do it again. You gotta do it something positive, man. You gotta do a positive. You gotta do 10 biggies. You gotta do the commandments, but you gotta do it something positive, bro. Yeah, Khalif Broder, right, Khalif Broder. Yeah, man, you gotta do a positive. You gotta do a positive joint. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about the 10, you remix the 10 Crack Commandments. I want you to remix it again, but do something positive. You know what I'm saying? Do the 10 free commandments. Do the 10 free commandments. How to stay free, you heard? Nobody did that, son. Do the 10 free commandments. How to stay free. You know what I mean? I was looking at St. Laz the other day. You heard? Salute to St. Laz. Yo, somebody had the you heard counter. They had a you heard counter in his chat. You heard? They was counting all the times that St. Laz said you heard. Yo, he do say it a lot. Yo, when I first went to the prison and I was in a Bing like 9'6", 9'7", I used to say that shit so much. That's what Jay-Z got that from. You heard? When my dogs locked down in the Bing, when you hit the bricks, new whips, money ain't a thing. You heard? Jay-Z said you heard. Son, we used to say that so much. We used to say, yo, this girl came to see me. She was like, yo, why you keep saying you heard like that? I'm like, what you talking about? You heard? She said, you said it again right there. I said, no, I didn't. You tripping. You heard? She was like, nah, you bugging. We used to be on the gate screaming. Everybody in the box screaming at the same time. This is where you heard came from. This is why we say it so much. We are screaming over everybody else. So we saying you heard to make sure the person that we're talking to is getting the communication. And a dude gonna say, you heard? A dude might say down low if he banging. You know, we might say with cold. He might respond to you in a cold. But we started saying you heard so much because you screaming over everybody else. Everybody screaming at the same time. Everybody talking. People's fishing. Police is doing shit. You know what I mean? They wilding. Dudes just banging on the gates. Rhyming. It's all kind of stuff going on in jail. So we started saying, you heard? You heard? Yo, you heard, till it became slang. Became slang. That came from dudes just trying to communicate in jail, but it's too loud. That's where it came from. If y'all never heard that before, y'all know now. You heard came from guys trying to communicate in prison while they were in the box, but they couldn't hear each other over all the banging, all the other loud screaming. So what we said to each other is, you heard? Yeah, I heard you. But we said it so much, we used to conversate like that so much that you heard just became slang. It was a part of the sentence, you heard? It became a part of the sentence. You heard? Yo, that's a ton of slang, you heard? A lot of these dudes using a bunch of blood codes and they don't even know. A lot of words that dudes say, a lot of these words that dudes say is a bunch of blood codes. What's popping? Any dog food, dog house, dog shit, doggy dog, anything that got to do with dog is from the homies. You heard? All that slang, you heard? Yo, I was talking to somebody and they said a dub. They didn't know a dub. They didn't know a dub came from the homies, you heard? Yo, word up. Kicked out the whip, all that word. But dudes ain't know a dub. Yo, you a dub. Dudes ain't know that came from the homies. Petey, Peter Roll, all that shit is codes. I'll be hearing other people saying this shit, and you know it's all good. But I be seeing people, but they don't even know. Yeah, a dub always was a 20. But you a dub, how dub is used in the culture for the most part, that came from the homies. That's a dub. That's a dub. Right. Regular people, we were saying, before the homies, we were saying a dub was a $20 bill. Or $20. Yo, you owe me a dub. Get mine to me. You owe me $20. Yeah, that's definitely New York lingo. You heard? Yo, but we took on a lot of y'all lingo too, D-Time. We took on a lot of West Coast lingo, you heard? Buster's West Coast lingo. We say that out here now, you heard? We say Buster from the West Coast. Kraken is from the West Coast too, right? Kraken is just from the West. That's a West Coast. That's definitely a West Coast word. Let me see some words, y'all dudes. 550. Dudes say 550, don't even know what it means. Bloods don't even be knowing what 550 means. Poppin' is from the West too? What's poppin'? What you doing, sucker? This sucker over here trying to get some pets in. He was acting up in the, we took his ass to the vet. He was acting up in the vet. You was acting up in the vet? You was acting up in the vet, sucker? Yeah, Peter Roll. You was acting up in the vet, sucker? Crackling. Hey. You want to come back up here? Come on. Come on. You want to come back up? This dude gave me his butt. What are you doing? Let me see your butt. Let me see. Let me see. What you doing over here, man, smiling? What you doing? Yeah, he's a bug out. I come in the crib. Yeah, it's blue. One is blue. It's like one is blue and brown. Yeah, you right about that, D-Tom. I mean, we all learn from each other, man. We all learn slang from each other. We learn stuff from each other. Yo, when I come in the house, this little dude shows his butt. Look, say hi. Say hi, like it. Look. Yeah. All right, that's crazy, bro. Yeah, they got them though, y'all. Come here, boy. What you doing, boy? Y'all see, he be right. Yo, he be right here. Y'all don't know. I don't be saying nothing, but he be right here. I be petting him. You said what happened to my kitty? Yo, look, these motherfuckers in my house, they got the good life. Look at this shit. Look at this shit. You saying what happened to my kitty, right? Look. This sucker's on a heating pad. Look. This sucker's on a heating pad. Nice leather. Get your punk ass off my heating pad. Get your punk ass off my heating pad. Get your punk ass off this heating pad. My wife spoiled all of us, you heard? Everybody spoiled in this house, you heard? Everybody is spoiled here, you heard? She spoils everything, you heard? Yo, look. This sucker is over here on a heating pad. Look, this sucker's on a heating pad. This sucker is on a heating pad. Look at this shit. Yo, my wife spoils everything. She spoiled all of us. Yo, listen. My wife spoils everything. Them little bastards is spoiled as hell, you heard? He on a heating pad. Get your ass off that heating pad. Yeah, man, but them police, 100 million they messed up. Bozos. 100 million. 100 million. These suckers got insurance and everything. These little suckers is well taken care of, you heard? They living a good life. Them suckers live good. 100, and guess what? They so stupid, they set themselves up for this, because now the state, they wanted to get rid of officers anyway. You let them get rid of you. Now they're going to get brand new officers in there. Yeah, D-Tom, last I heard from him, he good. Brother's doing good, man. Brother's doing good, man. But yeah, these SEALs done messed that bag up, you heard? They met 2,000. They're not even going to get 2,000 new SEALs. They're not going to get that many. Because they was going to shut down 5 more jails anyway. All they did was just help that happen. All right, we lost 2,000 officers. They're going to shut the jails down now. They're going to just shut a couple jails down now and consolidate the workforce and consolidate the prisoners in the jails. They're going to consolidate that shit. Dummies. Dummies, they stupid. They stupid, you heard? They stupid. And when they told them to come back, they would have still had their jobs. They still stayed out. They stupid, you heard? That was dumb. Somebody was gassing like, "Lo, listen, we got them. We got them right where we want them. Look, they're giving us whatever we want. They're going to give us more. Just hold out. We got to hold out for at least 30 days. Y'all listen to that dummy. One of them dudes that was retired probably told him that shit. He already got his pension. He getting his money. He got all of them fired. Listen, just hold out. All you got to do is hold out. 30 days. 30 days, you heard? Now you tell them, listen, I didn't think they were going to do that. Try to help you guys get a job. I know the supervisor at the Dollar Tree on Main Street. You know, we're going to try to get you in there. We're going to try to get you into that Dollar Tree. It's nasty work. It's nasty work out here. That was stupid, bro. That was dumb, bro. That was dumb. You already know, Banging Peace Jungle, man. R.I.P. the Jungle, man. Yeah, that was, I ain't gonna lie, that was nasty work, you heard? But they deserve it, though. They deserve it. They deserve it. They so even like in the, G-Dub Quinn, like in the Bible, you know, when Moses was going against the Pharaoh, they say God hardened the Pharaoh's heart so he wouldn't listen to Moses so they could tear that whole shit down anyway. You see what they were saying in that article I read earlier? They said the prison system, the New York prison system, it was already teetering on like it was going. Yeah, they made them SEALs hard like that for a reason, so they can get fired. They did that on purpose. God working. God is out here working. God is working. All these bozos, yeah, go out there. Go ahead, stay out there. Don't come in when they say come in. Nah, don't do it. Stay out there even longer. Dummies. Got him. Got him. God is great. Got him. Got him. Stupid. Bozos. How could you be that dumb? You already know they was doing us bad, you heard? Got him. Oh, man, they so stupid, bro. They was going to fire people anyway, dummies. They was going to get rid of some people anyway. They got rid of y'all. Now they're going to do the same thing. They're going to close down the jails. They're going to do it without. Now they're going to do it easier. Idiots. They so stupid. They dumb. They're going to get some new COs in there too, some new young ones. I hope they get more black and Spanish COs all over the state. Being honest. We need more black. It changed. Let me tell you something. When you being policed by your own peoples, it is a little different. It starts changing. It's not the same thing. It is not the same. Even when you police by black people that don't even call you brother or feel like they black, it's still different when you got colored people working on a force. I don't care how they feel. I don't care, what their nationality is or what they feel like they are. Having people, colored people in those suits changes the whole police work. I've been in Sing Sing. I've been in Wendy. You already know the French Canadians. They gonna be like, yo, listen, I ain't your brother. I'm French Canadian. But I've been in Sing Sing. I've been to Shawanga. I've been to Sullivan. I've been to Wendy. I've been to a lot of jails with black COs. And them jails don't run the same. They're not the same. They always a little bit better than them other jails that don't got black or Spanish COs, you know what I'm saying? And I know a lot of these jails that you go to, you got black officers on a beat up squad. You have black officers on a beat up squad in Sing Sing. Spanish officers on a beat up squad in Southport. You got different officers. It's predominantly white. When you go upstate, them beat up squads is usually made of predominantly white officers. But certain facilities, like Sing Sing, had black beat up squads as well. They had black dudes down with them beat up squads in Sing Sing. And I think somewhat in Wendy too, but not, it was a lot of white COs doing most of the ass kicking in Wendy. It was a lot of white COs that was doing it for the most part. But you had a lot of black COs up there in Wendy's that was getting into stuff, but not like, and Spanish COs. But they wasn't getting into stuff like them white COs that was doing stuff up there. It's a difference. It was a difference. You know what I'm saying? It was a difference, you know what I mean? Yo, Slim Slam, are you right about that? Them little ass towns. You gotta drive, you gotta commute, you gotta drive up to your job. You know what I'm saying? They be treating the COs like the inmates up there. Them COs is foul, man. They be treating them like the inmates, you heard? Yo, Abdul, what up? But yeah, they foul. I mean, don't get me wrong. I always want to see black and brown faces. Wendy is better than Attica. Wendy is better than 5 Point. They got black and Spanish. And some of them black females are setting dudes up to get spanked. I seen a lot of stuff go on. Don't get it messed up. Don't get it twisted. Like, they was getting dudes set up too. But it wasn't like on a level. It wasn't like on a level of them other jails. You know what I'm saying? The Auburns. You know what I'm saying? The Clintons, where you don't see no black faces. The Comstocks. You know what I mean? Any jail where you seeing black COs is always, when you see black people, it's always better than when you don't. I'm just being honest. It's always a little bit better. I'm not saying it might not be rough. I'm not saying, it might not go down. It goes down. They still doing stuff. You got black COs that's beating dudes up. I had to write a couple black COs up north. I got into it with some black COs up north. You know what I'm saying? When I first got up north, I had to blaze these dudes up. They be trying to violate. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I had to drop my pen game down on these dudes. I had to blaze these dudes up. You know what I mean? I had gotten smart by that time. I was already fighting too many new charges. I was still fighting new charges when I was in Sing Sing. I was still fighting 2 new charges, you know what I'm saying? So I already knew how it was. Matter of fact, I was fighting 3 new charges. I caught a new charge in Sing Sing, and I was fighting 2 other new charges already when I was in Sing Sing. But I knew I had to lay them grievances down, them complaints. I was busting my pen. They was leaving me alone. Yo, when I was busting my pen on them COs, they don't mess with me no more. Yeah, I know who to write, I know how to write, and I know who to write. Yeah. I was busting my pen. They was like, nah, Mikey B is foul. Yeah. I wrote these black dudes, they was trying to set me up, they try to beat me, they try to beat my ass in Sing Sing. Before they got a chance to, I smoked them. I smoked them with some, I know it put like a jacket on them. They had like, I know the female COs was looking like, y'all was touching on that boy like that? Yo, look, I blazed they ass, you heard? They went and talked to the other homies. They talked to the other dudes on the tier, like, yo, I ain't messing with your man. He wrote some bullshit up on us. Yo, look. You know the black, yo, see, that's one thing. Let me tell you something about COs, you heard? COs is super corny. Yo, COs is super corny, you heard? I'm gonna tell you why COs is corny. You do anything, you get out of line, you go into the box, they're gonna write you up, you get a new charge, right? They're gonna write you up, you get a new charge. They telling everything. COs is telling everything. Soon as you write their asses up, they calling you a rat. Yo, your man is a rat. He wrote me up. He wrote a grievance. Now I'm a rat. All y'all do is tell on us. All COs do is tell on us. As soon as we write their asses up, we a rat. Now they try to use that. So listen, they always try to use our own stuff on us. Yo, your man is a rat. He wrote me and my partner up. Like, hold up. I'll be hearing that shit on the gate. I'll be like, nah, he ain't no rat if he wrote y'all up. If he wrote me up, he might have been a rat. He wrote y'all up. He ain't no rat. If you only knew how bad I blazed these suckers. Yo, I blazed these suckers. Yo, Papa, yo, what up? Yo, Mac, what up? Yo, I blazed these suckers so bad in Sing Sing. I never went back to Sing Sing after that neither. Yo, I blazed these dudes up so bad. 2 black dudes. Matter of fact, I had got it shaking in Sing Sing yard. I got it shaking in Sing Sing yard. And these dudes, they try to set me up after I got it shaking, you heard? I caught like a little scratch on the arm. Dude had some little shit in his hand. We got busy. He had some little shit. We just got it shaking. He got a little scratch on my arm or something, poke. I don't know what it was. He had some little pen, you know, some made up weapon type shit. I was whipping his ass with that shit, you know what I'm saying? But when the police pulled us and put us on the wall, them dudes tried to get extra, you heard? They was trying to get a little extra. Man, I smoked their ass. I know they had all kind of psychic evaluations. I know they got sexual shit on their paperwork now, messing with me. I'm like, nah. I'm like, yo, they was like, yo, your man is a sucker back there, man. Your man wrote us up, he lied. Y'all dudes ain't gonna beat. I was little too at that. I was like 160 when I first came upstate. You see, yo, these 2 black dudes, man, these dudes is huge, crunching shit. Y'all niggas ain't crunching me. That ain't they crunch you and then they give you a new charge. Let me tell you something. I was a bozo. Just being honest. I was a piece of shit, you heard? I'm being honest. If they would have just whooped my ass, and that was that, if we would have just got it shaken, and they would have just whipped my ass, it would have been all good. I was getting my ass whipped all the time. That was nothing. It was a regular thing for me to get my ass whipped. It's regular. I wasn't really worried about that. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to get it in. I'm going to get it shaken. Win, lose, or draw. You know, I'm going to shake out. It's going to be a nice little, a nice little workout. You know what I mean? I'm going to go back in my cell, beat up somewhere, take some Tylenol, rub my knots. You know, you got to rub the knots in the mirror. You be like, oh, man, it's a good one. I don't even know. You know, after you get into some stuff, after you get a good ass whipping, you find bruises and knots. You be in the mirror finding stuff you ain't know was there. Like, oh, man, they hit me right there, too. I got bruises over here. I would have took a good ass whipping. They would have whipped your ass, right? Look, check it out. They would have whipped your ass. They want to write you up, give you a ticket, give you like a year in a box, and they want to give you a new charge, more time in jail. For some shit you ain't even start, they whipping your ass and they giving you all this time for that. Man, listen, I said, nah, that ain't happening. I got about that fast. I says, that's not happening. Y'all not gonna whip my ass, give me a year in the box and a new charge, and I ain't do shit. I ain't even get to fight back. I ain't get nothing off. Y'all not doing that. I started smoking their ass. And they started leaving me alone. They ain't mess with me after that. They ain't mess with me, bro. I'm telling you, they ain't mess with me. They ain't mess with me. I'm smoking you. Play games with me. I'm smoking you. I'm a blaze you up with this pen. Yo, listen, they ain't want no more smoke with me after that. Yo, your man wrote me up. Your man is a sucker down the block. Big soft ass CO. Big soft dude. Yo, your man is a sucker. Yo, he wrote me up. He put a bunch of lies in there. That's all they do is lie on them tickets. That's all they do is lie. Hell yeah, I'm lying. And I'm going to lie good. I'm going to tell some good lies. You heard? We going to geese this thing up. That's all they do is geese it up. They geese up all that shit they do, you heard? They geese that stuff up. Listen, yup. And I seen what they did to 8 cell the other day too. I seen they beating everybody down here. I'm telling you. I'm writing whoever. What? Word up, bro. Yo, word up. But they got it. They got what they was looking for this time, you heard? Fired. Dummies. They stupid, you heard? I was dumb. They did all that and got fired. They ain't get none of the concessions. Now they ain't get none of the stuff they say they was trying to get. Yo, listen, we gonna give y'all more time. Time and a half, +5. They was gonna get them all this stuff. Now they not getting none of that because now they fired. They so stupid. That was dumb. That was dumb. I didn't expect that. I did not expect that. I did not expect that. I ain't gonna cap. I ain't expect that. That was stupid, Joe. But yeah, I'm gonna just pop out and give y'all some rec. You know what I'm saying? Let y'all know what's going on. The strike is over. RIP to those 7 brothers that died during this strike or these lockout. Let me tell you something. If these police ain't deserve to lose their job for nothing else than 2,000 police, they deserve to lose their jobs because when they were supposed to be on their job, doing their jobs, they caused the death of them 7 brothers, them 7 people that died during their lockout. It's on their heads. That's on them. So if they don't deserve to be fired for nothing else, they deserve to be fired for that. 7 lives was lost while they was locked out. Brothers trying to get medical attention. Brothers trying to get their medication. Brothers and sisters. So they deserve to get fired for that. For nothing else. If they didn't get fired for anything else, I don't care about the other stuff. Not coming back to work. 7 lives were lost. 7 lives were lost during that illegal strike by those ex-correction officers. And I'm glad that I'm saying ex-correctional officers right now. Ex-correctional officers. I'm glad I'm saying that. I hope somebody figures out that they should be charged and charge them with the 7 murders of those people. It's because of those 2,000 individuals that those 7 people lost their lives. Because we would have had the security and the medical apparatus to be able to take care of it if these guys were on job and doing what they were supposed to do. And women. Gurgle Bangs, what up? Yeah, that's nasty. That shit nasty work, bro. That's nasty work, Abdul, you heard? For them 7 people that passed during this 22-day lockout, them 2,000 officers, that 100 million, because them families going to get money. This was an illegal strike. They can say, them families going to get paid. We would have had the safety and security if everything, was right. And then they said they beat another person up. They killed somebody else in prison. They bugged. Listen, I'm so glad they fired them dudes, man. I'm happy they fired them dudes, man. They killed another dude, they said. It's horrible, man. In Mid-State. Robert Brooks got killed in Marcy. They killed another brother in Mid-State. They killed another brother in Mid-State on March 1st. Messiah Natwa at Mid-State Correctional Facility on March 1st. In Marcy on March 1st. Another dude, yeah, they killed him in Mid-State, but Mid-State is in Marcy, New York. They killed him on March 1st in Mid-State Correctional Facility. Yeah, Mid-State is across the road. That's right. Let me tell you something. If these prisoners Right, G-Dub Quinn, same hub. Let me tell you something. After this, if these prisoners don't get together to make sure everything is right for prisoners, then I don't know what to do with these dudes in here, man. I don't know what to tell these dudes. I don't know what to do with these dudes, man. Because if they don't step up at this point, and say, yo, listen, enough is enough. They lost visits. Probably lost family members during this lockdown. They weren't able to get trailers. They weren't able to get packages. They weren't able to get visits. They weren't able to do their programs. They weren't able to be released. I think they stopped releases because you can't do paperwork. The COs and everybody's not there to do the paperwork. So I don't even think people were being released on time. Any transfers you had going in to go to other facilities, you couldn't go to another facility. If these dudes don't wise up in the state, really unite and start working for the betterment of themselves as prisoners and prisoners' rights, I don't know. Right, Abdul. I hope these guys wise up though. I hope they not, just thinking about coming out and going to commissary. They didn't get commissary in 22 days, but they didn't get commissary packages, none of that. So I know they want their food and they want their stuff. You know, anybody's going to want to eat. But they got more pressing issues. The prisoners of New York have a lot more pressing issues than this. When they are dying, the COs are not dying. When they are getting killed and they are dying, and now you have COs striking, making more people die due to injustice of Robert Brooks dying, they got to man up. Man and woman up in prison. They got to man up. They got to stand. They got to take some stances. And it can't come from nobody but them. Nobody can't take that stance from them. Nobody can't take that stance for New York prisoners or prisoners anywhere else. California prisoners, when they did their hunger strike and they got the changes done in their system, they stood on that. California prisoners got together and stood. We can't say, you know, us being out here free, we can't say what's enough is enough for state prisoners. They got to be the ones. You know, we can assist and we can do our part, but they have to stand up. They got to stand. They got to fight. They got to fight against the oppression that they're facing. They have to fight against it. They have to stand up. They have to stand up and say, yo, enough is enough. Y'all killing us in here. Y'all taking stuff whenever y'all want. Y'all doing what y'all want. It's time for us to stand up and, you know, for us to do what we need to do. New York State prisons got to do that. You know what I'm saying? Right, G-Dub Quinn. But it has to come directly from them, from their actions. You see what I'm saying? It has to come directly from their actions. And that's one thing they try to do. Weed out people that can lead on that level, that can lead a big strike, that can lead stuff like that. Either release them dudes, let them dudes go home. Yo, let them dudes go home. Keep these bozos in here that's not going to do nothing but shoot each other. They ain't doing nothing but cutting each other out. We don't care about that. They not doing no mass movement for the betterment, you know, of prisoners' rights or anything like that. These dudes just thinking about tearing each other up. You know what I'm saying? They love that shit, you heard? They love that shit. Put them in there, let them tear each other up. Respect, salute. You already know. Great show the other day, bro. Great show, man. Wrong route. Big wrong route. But yeah, them dudes, they got to step up, man. Especially with Trump talking about all the sending stuff, dudes to another country and all that stuff. Dudes got to step up. You know, women and men. It's their time. They got to step up. You got to get busy. You know what I'm saying? They got to, step up. What y'all doing? I got to talk. You got to write. I got to do something. They got to do something. Let me tell you something. When I was going to war, I was going to war by myself sometime with my family, maybe with a few friends in prison. But they was going at me, yo. I can get my wife to come in here. They was trying to violate. I was going back and forth with them, bro. Guard the brand, salute. You already know. Blessings. But I was going back and forth with them for real. I was going to war with them. Legally, you know what I'm saying? I was going to busting my pen. I was getting the lawyers. I was getting the lawyers involved with it. You know what I'm saying? Real talk. For me to get out of prison, I had a real fight. Them people really try to mess my paperwork up, violate me. They was trying to violate. If you ain't a fighter, if they see you not a fighter, then they gonna leave you. They try to leave me in there. Fake shit in my paperwork. I never been to the feds. They had federal bids in my paperwork. I've been to the feds 2 times. I got mad felonies. They had a bunch of shit in my paperwork that was all false. And when I tried to get that shit fixed, they try to say yo, why are you trying to get it fixed now? What you mean why I'm trying to get it fixed now? I got to fix my paperwork. I'm going to the parole board. I've been going to the parole board with all this false stuff in my paperwork, and y'all doing that intentionally to keep me in prison. That shit was crazy, you heard? Yo, listen, G-Dub Quinn, I had federal bids in my paperwork. God was definitely watching over for me. But for years, I didn't even see it. I didn't even notice it Because, you know, like I said, I was on autopilot. I was doing so much dumb stuff in prison. I wasn't really focused on my paperwork and the stuff I should have been focused on. Once I focused on it, I seen how bad they had my shit mixed up. They had my stuff so bad, like federal bids, like probation, like things I never had probation in my life. I only had parole. I never had probation. They had me on probation. They had me for mad different bids. They had, yo, listen, that's one thing about prison, bro. You got to make sure your paperwork is right. You got to check your paperwork. You got to make sure your stuff is correct because you'll be going to this parole board and they'll be, you know, you might be bad, but they might have your shit looking crazy where it's like, yo, I ain't even do none of this stuff. Y'all sending this stuff to the parole board and I ain't even do none of this stuff? That's what I got into. Had to fight with them for about 4 years. I fought them, right? How long, Rob? 4 years, Shayna? Shawanga, Southport? Huh? Yo, 4 years, 4 years me and my wife fought them. 4 years. It started in Shawanga. I'm like, yo, y'all got all this stuff and my paperwork is not right. They was pushing back my parole boards. They was pausing my parole boards, trying to fix my paperwork up because they was sending for years. They was sending the wrong information to my parole boards. They was saying I had more cases, more murders. They was saying I was out on parole for a murder. That's why I was getting some of these hits because they looking at my paperwork like, yo, you already committed a murder. Now you back in jail for a murder again. Word. Man, my paperwork was so bad. We had to we made like 200. We had made like $200 worth of copies, Shayna, when we got all of those binders printed up and we got them sent around to Albany and all that. Huh? It was like 220 and just me putting all the documents into legal briefs. I made legal briefs and binders. Me and Shayna, I wrote it all up. I put all the stuff they did, and I made it into a big binder like this. Sent it to the governor. I sent that shit everywhere, you heard? We sent that. We sent it to the superintendent. Let me tell you something. Being that my paperwork was messed up, once I notified them and showed them, the governor, the superintendent, you know, of the prison, you know, the CEO of DOC. Once you send it to all those people and they don't do nothing, now you can sue everybody. Once I sent that, I'm not no dummy. I was lining them up for a big lawsuit, you heard? I ain't stupid. When I spent that $220 on a complaint alone, it was on a complaint. When I sent that when I spent that $220, when me and my wife spent that money, I was gonna get $200,000 on the comeback. I know exactly what I was doing, you heard? I'm a law-abiding criminal. You're funny. Listen, I was trying to get $200,000 back. You can't get too much money from negligence, but you get a lot of money from deliberate indifference. Once I can show that I showed you what they did wrong and I showed you where and you didn't correct this, the superintendent, the governor, none of that, y'all all accountable now. Y'all were deliberately indifferent to what your officers did, which held me in prison longer, you know, held me in SHU longer or whatever. But once I can show deliberate indifference, now my money, now a lawsuit is real, you heard? Now my lawsuit now is different. Because I can show that you were deliberately indifferent when I complained to you. I told you what your officers did. I showed you what your counselors did, and you still did nothing. right? That's why you always put a grievance in first. So you start with a grievance. You start with a regular complaint, a regular grievance. Negligence is always capped. Negligence, you don't get too much money for negligence. Deliberate indifference, now you get the big money, you heard? Medical, whatever it might be. Medical, whatever. If they are negligent can get you a lawsuit, but negligence is not that big. But once you can show the doctors that you told them what they did was wrong, you showed the dentist your gums, you showed him what he did wrong, you complained about it, and then he didn't do nothing, he's no longer negligent. He now knows, and he knowingly went against whatever. That's the rules. Once you notify somebody and you show them what they're doing wrong, and they continue to do it, that exasperates whatever was going on, and is going to make something that might have been negligence now be deliberate indifference. Now you're getting real money. That's the difference, though. You don't want negligence. You want deliberate indifference. That's like you walking through your lobby and the floor is always wet. And they ain't putting up no signs. You can slip and fall or not. Once you complain to them now, once you tell them like, yo, listen, you put it in writing or email, yo, listen, here go an email on March 11th, 2025. You know, your person that's mopping this floor out here, they not putting no wet floor signs. Me and my son was coming through here. We almost fell. I need them to have wet floor signs when these floors are being mopped. Once you put that, once you make that complaint and they answer it, you know that complaint is filed, and they don't do that the next time, and you do fall and you do get hurt, that's no longer negligence because you told them already what happened, and then they did it again, and you fell and you got hurt, and they were deliberately indifferent. I mean, you don't even got to get hurt. You don't even got to get hurt to get a lawsuit a lot of times. All you got to just show is that they were deliberately indifferent to whatever you was trying to tell them. All you got, if you could prove that, and how, see, you got to show cause in a lawsuit. You got to show how it affected you, how it hurt you, how it hurt your future money. You see what I'm saying? You have to show that. You put that complaint in, they don't change whatever they're doing. Next time you come through there, you fall, somebody get hurt, they're gonna give you whatever you want. Yo, Henny, what? Oh, Henny, what up? Salute, Yak, what up? Yo, word up. I'm just being honest, man. So, you know, read up on that, check into that. The difference between negligence and deliberate indifference. You know what I mean? Negligence will get you a little bit of money, but deliberate indifference, word up, man. But yo, the lockdown is over. The New York lockdown is over. You know, guys in prison is back at it. Yo, what up? Retired troll. Gotta always know that, you heard? You already know, Abdul. Gotta get that. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's the difference. You know what I mean? Complain about something. Complain first. Always complain. Next time they see it, the complaint, if you complain, you email, you put that complaint in writing, you got a copy of that complaint, it's over. You get hurt after that, somebody gets hurt in your family, now you're going to take them to the bank, you heard? Now you're taking them to the bank, you know what I'm saying? It's just me, be mindful of that, you know what I mean? Be back at y'all with some more, man. I just wanted to chat in with y'all, let y'all know what's going on. You know, with the prison strike, let y'all know the prison strike is over in New York. 2,000 officers got fired, you know what I mean? They got their just due, you heard? Yo, but salute to y'all, man. I'm going to tap out. Probably tapping with y'all tomorrow, next day, you heard? Y'all already know what it is. Mr. Hood Love, Mikey B, man. Like, share, subscribe. Share the show with somebody y'all think can use it. That can use the information, you heard? Salute to all of y'all, man. G-Dub, Quinn, Abdul, everybody that popped out. D-Time, good looking for the super chat, Yak, everybody that popped out, all y'all. I mean, you already know. All Henny. All G. Everybody that was up in here, you heard? Yo, G-Dub Quinn, what's up, man? You gotta yo, G-Dub Quinn, we gotta do that. We supposed to be doing a battle, right? You gotta set that battle up, G-Dub Quinn. Hip hop. We said me and G-Dub Quinn gonna do a hip hop battle. Saying we ain't rapping. We just historically we battling about the history. Hip hop. We going in on hip hop history. You know what I'm saying? Yo, G-Dub Quinn, just pick a day, bro. Pick a day. You know what I'm saying? Besides Sunday, and we do it, you heard? Yeah, give me a call. Give me a call tomorrow, and we line it up, you heard? Make sure I go follow my brother G-Dub Quinn, man. Heard up. Follow the peoples, man. Follow them peoples, man. They out here giving y'all some great content, you heard? But salute y'all. You already know it's Mr. Hood Love, Mikey B, man. To the next one.